love having more speaking.
Okay.
That's a positive step forward.
Yes, it is.
All right, everyone, it's 2 o'clock. We'll go ahead and call this workshop to order. And we'll go ahead and start with Russ.
All right. For the record, Russ Wire, Real Estate Econometrics, your assessment methodology consultant. Today, we're going to cover 3, maybe 4 items if we get to them all. First of all, we're going to cover the differentiation between how to split up the administrative costs between general fund, enterprise fund allocation. I'm going to have Chelsea cover that since she put all of that together.
Okay, wait a minute. Are we going to do roads at all?
I said that'd be the 4th one.
Oh, okay.
One other question. I didn't get this till Monday.
Yeah.
Should we get these things 7 days in with the public? I'm just talking about me, but even for the public, aren't they supposed to be out there 7 days in advance?
It was, but there was an error in it. I didn't realize that when it posted, it was wrong. I actually posted it on Thanksgiving Day.
Mhm.
So the agenda was posted 7 days in advance. We
Correct.
had to redo it on Monday.
The agenda is required to be posted 7 days in advance, not the materials.
Yeah.
Not the
So
So
board
the
pack.
attachments to the agenda is what I didn't get.
Right.
I
Which
just
is
got
not
something that
required.
said we would,
Which is, that's what she's saying. The statute only requires the agenda be posted, not the board pack itself. It was posted on Thursday, however,
I agree
it was
with that.
incorrect that it was on Monday.
but on Monday, before I could open the attachments, I would just like to make a suggestion. We defer this until the public has had their full 7 days and take it up at our next meeting. So I'll make that as a motion.
Okay, so we have a motion. Well, we can make a motion on the workshop.
No.
Yeah, you will vote during the workshop.
This kind of matter, if you want to.
Didn't give the public the adequate, what they expected,
That's all. It's
7 day
it's not-
advance.
It's not making a decision as to the merits of it.
Okay,
I'll
so-
second that.
So, well, before we second, do we want to then get Doug in because he's remotely? Okay.
He's heading.
I'm gonna head over. I'm on my way over.
Him to participate.
Okay, so which one goes first?
The motion to.
Okay, so I'll make a motion for allowing Doug to fully participate in this meeting remotely due to exceptional circumstances.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Me,
Okay. So we have 4-1.
Pass you to one.
3 to 1.
3 to
Did
1.
the
Doug
vote?
can't vote on himself.
Okay. So
So you
3-1.
pass them.
Okay. So then we have a motion by Bob.
my motion
Seconded
was
by
that
Carol.
Okay.
And that's to do what now?
That's what I was gonna ask for. Bob.
to defer the workshop until the next meeting. That will allow the public to have the full week of 7 days of
To defer to when?
whatever our next meeting is.
January
It's
2nd.
January
Oh, we can't go that long.
Sure we can.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion
Doug's
fails.
muted.
Oh, did he
The
bring
motion-
up?
He's on mute.
Unmute.
Okay, so we'll wait for him.
Doug, we need your vote. Are you in favor or opposed to deferring the workshop to January 2nd? You're muted.
Oh, okay. I was trying to pack up to get over there. The reason for the deferment is there
Because
wasn't adequate time for the public to review what?
the materials.
We didn't get anything other than a one-page assessment operations methodology, but all the backup material, is 6, 7, 8 pages, whatever, didn't come out till this past Monday.
Well, but we don't vote on anything during this meeting. This is informational only, the workshop.
Well, same thing then. I didn't get it in time. I wanted my 7 days.
So we have a 2-2 vote right now. Are you in favor of deferring the discussion in this workshop to January 2nd, or are you opposed to deferring it?
Bob, if we go ahead, because we're not voting on anything, if there's any additional questions or clarity, because it sounds like you're saying you didn't have adequate time.
Well, I didn't. I didn't get it till Monday. I didn't see anything until Monday.
Okay, I'm going to vote to proceed, and then if Bob, if we need to come back to this, or if you need to get with Russ separately for more clarification. But I would say in the future that we need to set a standard of adequate time for, just like we did with board.
Okay, when we go to the board of supervisors meeting at 3, it's an administrative agenda item there, and I'm going to make the same proposal.
Okay, and I would back that. That's fine.
So for clarification.
I just don't want to delay us.
So Doug, for clarification, your vote is against the motion.
That's affirmative.
Okay, thank you. Motion fails 3-2.
Okay, and then what I'll ask for all of us to supervise it, allow Russ to go over the PowerPoint, and then if we can hold on to the questions until the end, that'll be more helpful.
Well, that doesn't help me. I get the
Write it
questions
down?
when he's doing it.
Okay.
And I do, I'll write them down.
all
But
right,
I
so-
don't want to have to be restricted that I have to wait till it's all over to ask a question.
So can we do in phases, like you take it out and then you,
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
or as we go along.
okay,
I
fine,
don't have a problem with that.
go ahead, Russ.
Again, for the record, Russ Wire, Real Estate Econometrics, and we're going to do 4 parts today. First is going to be the enterprise fund, general fund allocation. I'm going to have Chelsea present that since they put those numbers together. Second is going to be park and recreation analysis. The third part is going to be the administrative cost analysis. And the fourth part, I will present to you your recommendation on taking another look at the roads. So I will present that as well. So at this point,
She just left.
She had a call she had to take.
Exit stage left.
We could always jump to the roads first,
you want to,
since we all got the material from your last presentation. And I know I've read it about 3 or 4 times now,
the roads.
the roads.
Yeah, and what if you want to go there, we can do that. That would be fine.
That's fine.
But
Okay.
if you want to do that, let's go to the last slide in the presentation.
Yes.
Yes. No, because we just finished it last night. I had to get the other one out first. No, and what we have here, so everybody can understand, the first, there are 4 columns here. If you recall, back at our last meeting, we talked about the roads, and the only allocation that I took a look at was what would happen if Pelican Preserve paid for the gateway portion of the roads. And the first column is what the assessments are right now. And that's based on the budgets that we used, and it's based on the number of units and all of those. It wasn't really based on, it's based on the trips for Gateway, but for Pelican Preserve, it was all inside. So I took the roads and divided by the number of units with the exception of the golf course, which was included in there also. So, and then what I did, if we did the Pelican, another typo, the Pelican Preserve assessed for the Gateway roads only, if you recall, it came out on a per unit basis, and it was like $114 for the Pelican Preserve, if you recall. We went back through that. So if you added that to the 493, it would come out to 607. Gateways would go down from 324 to 251. You can see how it gets allocated. Okay. Then the next assignment, actually the first assignment you gave to us was to take the assessment and use a baseline, if you recall. What we did is we measured by linear feet of the roads, and then we had the budget separated, and I didn't put the math in here. I could have done a whole presentation. You wouldn't have had it in time. But I have the spreadsheet, which I will show you how I stepped through that allocation. But the one we did before that, which is the Gateway and Pelican Preserve all in. And what I did is I just took all the 2 budgets, put them all into one, and then assessed it based on, over there on the left, where you see the number of units, the trips, and the percent trips. And that's where if we threw everything into one pot, if you will, no linear feet, nothing. And so you can see where the assessments fall. Basically what happens is Gateway goes up, Pelican Preserve goes down, and accordingly you can base it off of that current budget assessment. And then in the last one, what we did, would you put up that spreadsheet for me, please? What I wanted to show you is, here's how we did that. Can you increase that? Oh, yeah, there you go. Keep going, a little bit more. No, go up, stay up at the top. I just wanted to increase, I just wanted the size. There you go. Now we can see it. These are the road lengths that we went to Tetra Tech and they measured all the roads. And we measured the roads in, I have the other, I can show you the map, but we did Pelican Preserve, which is the Gateway Services District. They were the orange roads, if you recall that road, the map that I had in my presentation. The orange roads were, 85,000 in Pelican Preserve, and that's all the roads that are owned by the district. Stony Brook, there's 30,000, that's all linear feet. And Gateway proper is 7,400. And then for the arterial roads, which we called, in the arterial roads, Gateways is actually down below with the Lee County owned. They're part of the arterial roads, but the actual arterial roads outside of the ones that are Lee County owned are Pelican Preserve, which is the landscape portion, and that is Pelican Preserve Boulevard. And if you could pull up, I'll show you the landscape. Yeah. Yes, it includes all of that. No. Pull that one up too. No, there's one in a. Yes. There you go. This is the landscape map, and all of the roads in that have the red along the side inside the gate. That's outside the gate at the moment, so go inside. There you go. All of those roads, I had Tetra Tech measure. Keep going down, going down. There you go. And see, it goes off to the right to Prado, so that does include off to Prado, but just to the cul-de-sac before they go into the individual neighborhoods. And it does go down past, don't go any further to the right. You see the boulevard goes past that bridge, actually, the landscaping goes down to that second bridge, I guess, down there in the lower part. So that now you can go back to the spreadsheet. So that.
What question before you run back? Go back to that.
Go back to that map.
Is there a differentiation on this, these computations, between Colonial Boulevard, go over to the on tree line?
Yeah, the measurement.
Why is the red on tree line
Because
not the same as the orange?
because
That inside the gate?
one is owned by the district and tree line isn't owned by the district, although we still maintain that. We still maintain from a landscape perspective. So, and I have, there's a,
Say that again.
this is landscape maintenance. Landscape maintenance,
maintenance.
correct.
The red and the orange are the same. Or Pelican Preserve.
Well, the red and the red is the same. Outside the gate on tree line is not owned by the district. And if you let me get down through all the list of the streets, you'll see tree line is there,
Okay,
but it's separate.
You said it was landscaping,
Correct,
and we are currently maintaining the landscaping. on
Correct.
tree line.
correct.
It's just for
And-
maintenance only.
That's correct.
Yeah,
And that's why it's red, because we're maintaining.
It's
it.
not ownership, just maintenance only.
Well, we keep talking about landscaping. That's where I'm getting confused.
Correct. It's all of that is included when I get down into, when you look at the numbers, it's included. But what I had them
Today,
measure.
there's no differentiation. That's the point I'm trying to make. Today, for landscaping, everything that's on tree line is included.
Correct.
And it is now as
And it
well.
is now.
It is now. He's just putting the red, meaning like we don't own it, but we maintain it.
Right.
So it's not changing, that's what he's saying.
We don't have,
Well,
We don't have ownership,
we
but we
don't roadway
maintain it.
costs.
It's not the red, it's the blue. The blue indicates somebody their ownership. The orange indicates our ownership, and the red indicates
The landscape
everywhere.
maintenance. Yeah,
That's what it is.
correct.
It'll make sense. That's fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay, back to my,
PowerPoint.
no. There you go. So we had the Pelican Reserve Boulevard, the landscape portion of that is 17,000 feet. And Pebble Brook, which is inside of Stony Brook, is 4,700, I say square feet, 4,700 linear feet. Now, the Lee County owned GSCD maintained, which is the blue road, you can see that tree line portion is about 4,000
Right.
linear feet. Gateway Boulevard is 21,000 linear feet. Griffin Drive is 11,500 and Commerce Lakes Drive is 3,400 linear feet, sorry. So used to dealing with that. Now go down to the next on that one. Stay on that one, but go down. There you go. Whoop. Now, here's how when we talked, we said, could we find a baseline of, on a per linear foot? And so I put them all in there. So if you look at this, right now, the Gateway Roads budget in the 43,000 comes out to be, what, $14.59 per linear foot. Gateway Landscaping is 40, it's really hard for me to read that. Can you increase it just a little bit more? One more.
$42.
Thank you. And then the Pelican, money on your side. And I wear contacts with this. And then the Pelican Preserve roads, again, are 679 linear foot for the roads. The Pelican Preserve landscaping, including the tree line, is 44, 76. Whoop, is 44 on a linear foot. And then Stony Brook is $2. Yeah, $2 and then $7.50 roughly. So that is the baseline. We use that as the baseline. So if you go down to and you can see the differentiation over on the right-hand side, I'm sorry, where the variance from the low, or the baseline, if you will. So it's $12.61 on down the line, Pelican Preserve and Gateway. So if you go to the next down, I took the budgets, and there you can see the cost per, what I did is I brought them all equal to Stony Brook. So Pelican Preserve roads, if you took that linear feet at $1.98, comes out to 168,000. And then their Pelican Preserve landscaping comes out to be 130,000. Gateway landscaping comes out to 273,000. This is in terms of budget now. And this is all baseline. And then 85,000 for the roads. So then everything is on a per linear foot equal at this point. That is the part, I took that amount, 945,000, and spread that
Equally.
among everybody.
Okay.
Okay? And so go down to the next table. And here you can see, here's the original budget, and then the adjusted budget, which is the baseline budget for all of them. And there are the variances. So what I did is I took the Gateway Roads and Gateway Landscaping variance, and after we did the full analysis of the baseline, I took that part and put it back into the Gateway people and did that methodology where they're with their trips. And then I took the difference, what is it, about $1 million of Pelican Preserve, and took that back strictly into Pelican Preserve. So that way we have a baseline, and then each of the two, because the baseline is still Stony Brook, so I didn't have anything to put back in there, if that makes sense. So if you go to the next one, so you can see that I took the 945,264. That's the baseline here, and then I did the allocation. You see the Gateway allocation of $1.7 million, and spread that among the trips in Gateway. Go down to the next one. And then Pelican Preserve, I did the same thing with $1 million and spread it among the Pelican Preserve. Now, if you go down to the last slide, here's where we got our assessments as they went. So the base allocation per unit is go on down just a little bit. Oh yeah, because I asked you to increase it so I could read it. Sorry. Anyway, so yeah, go down just a little bit more. That's okay. I want it there right now because we'll go back up in a minute. I just want to go down because you can see the totals down there. The 945,000. That's what was spread among all of the neighborhoods. That's the baseline part. And then if you go up just a hair, the remaining allocation is, then we did it on a remaining per unit. If you keep going to the right, there you go. So the remaining allocation by those units, what I put into back up on the top, where I had the Gateway part broken out and the Pelican Preserve, is put in there the remaining allocation based on.
Am I the only one having a hell of a time following this?
Yeah, is anybody able to print this? Because I'm having a.
We keep moving it.
Yeah. If we could just have a hard copy of this.
Well, I'm just having a very difficult time tracking what we're saying.
glue the pages together.
Then we'll go back to the spreadsheet. I'm like that too.
So instead of using trip generations, you used lineal feet?
No, I use trip generation.
You did use trip,
Yes, ma'am.
okay.
For the allocation, the or the
Okay.
linear feet was
Then
used to be.
I'll be the first to say I am officially lost.
No, I thought I beat you to
This
that.
is-
No,
yeah,
there's
it's
two
used-
parts, there's two parts to it. First of all, we had to create a baseline, and that's what the linear feet did. That created the baseline. So everybody, remember Doug, you had mentioned this. I mean, Mr. Banks said that. We could find a baseline, which is what we did. And that's what I did by going by the linear feet. So we went to the lowest denominator of linear feet, and Stony Brook was it. So then I went back up and I put everybody's budget based on that linear footage. So I had the Gateway part, the Pelican Reserve part, and then the Stony Brook part. I added them all up and that came to the 975,000, almost $1 million. That's your baseline.
Because that's the 198.
It just
times
established the benefit.
The linear,
Correct,
okay.
correct. And the 198 and the whatever,
So the 198 for the roads and then 753, I think, for the.
correct, for the
For the
landscaping,
landscaping,
correct.
okay.
And that created the baseline. That's where I came up with the 975,000. When I went back and took the budgets and did it by that baseline. And then, as we were stepping through that, if you saw, go back up again. Make it easier. Keep going back up.
You have one?
Yeah, I already have one, thanks. It's still small, you may need a microscope. If, take the, allocation by. Click on that and then go down 4. Yep. What's the total?
178,561.
Okay, leave that there.
So we use the to get the
Okay.
baseline.
I'm sorry?
Trip generation baseline.
I will.
That conversion.
Yep. Okay, so what
So
we-
let's start again now. We got the sheet.
okay,
And just,
The trips, that's the trip generation.
correct. So what we did, that's the trips, there's 84,505 trips in Gateway, in
Okay.
all of Gateway. That's Pelican Preserve, that's
Yeah.
commercial, that's everything.
Right.
Okay? So then you can see the percent of the trips.
Okay,
And then I took the 945,000, if you recall on my sheet, that top part, that was the baseline budget. That's everybody at $1.98 for roads and for $7.53 for landscaping. All three of them. So I did that amount.
Okay, those, bear with me, please. Those numbers are what we spent in 2024? Is that the 2024 budget?
Yes. Well, no.
Okay,
The full budget comes out to like 3.7 million of all of them together. 3.7 between Pelican Reserve, Gateway, and Stony Brook.
okay, so what is this number?
This is the baseline number. Go back up on the chart so I can show them again. Keep going. Whoop.
Right there.
It's that one right there, yes. So you can see it equalizes in order, yes, that's the one. That's how we get to the 945, because I took and multiplied your budget, or I multiplied your road length by the $1.98 and then the 753 for landscaping, because that was the equalization. That's everybody equal.
That's the common.
That's the common. That got spread among everybody. That's that first road of allocation, the $945,000.
Okay. When you say that's the common,
Mhm.
what does that mean?
That's the baseline. Well, I had to go back and find what was the baseline. Originally, when I did it, and I,
Baseline what? I mean,
It's a way to get a factor, Bob.
Um,
You want to be able to factor the cost before you distribute it. This is the methodology for factoring it or applying a ratio.
correct, based on the baseline, the
Based on the
lowest,
baseline.
we looked on
So
the
everybody's
lowest,
equal.
right, so we did the
well,
lowest.
I'm
in-
not sure I'm not sure I want everybody equal. That's what I'm understanding.
You-
We're spending X number of dollars for roads in Pelican. Okay?
And those, you'll see
Is that
those.
the $1.98? Or is this just some artificial, we came
This
up
is
with
the,
this?
this is the baseline for it. So that
A
if you want to
baseline of
up
what?
it, then if you want a different level of service, then there'll be an additional item, additional cost, and that's kind of what you mentioned.
Are we
Dean's prior.
establishing a baseline in Pelican that is different than what I have today?
No.
This is a baseline.
For
This is
the
just explaining
district.
the whole district. This is just explaining the
You get
number.
it?
How do you get there?
You understand? Okay.
And then as of now, okay, what you want to know is what are you paying now, linear, the linear square footage, or the linear, footage now, that's what you want to know, and what you pay now.
Which is the 679, correct?
And by the now,
Yeah.
I'm assuming that is the tree line, Colonial to Tree Line Road to Pelican Reserve Boulevard, and all that was shown on that map. If that's what my now is, and that's not changing with this new formula, I'm okay with that.
It is changing, look at the
Well,
screen.
that's
The-
what I'm
the
trying-
amount-
That's what
See
I'm
how-
trying to get to.
Wait a minute.
See how
the-
it says it's 679?
your
That's the
current.
now,
That's
that's
the
the current. And then it would go down to 198 if it was spread even using the baseline method.
Right, but,
That's
It's-
a huge reduction from
Oh, I'm waiting,
679.
I'm
Wait.
Okay,
waiting for the other shoe to fall. I'm not
wait a
sure.
minute, wait a minute. The
You already
budgets,
said but.
the budgets per Gateway, the budget for Pelican Preserve and the budget for Stony Brook don't change. What this is doing is a reallocation of that based on, first what we did, because we are now adding the Pelican Preserve roads into it and we're adding the Stony Brook roads into the equation. Before we didn't do that. When I did my last presentation, or the first presentation, was that you were going to, how much do you share of the Gateway roads? Now we said, well, you have roads too that are district owned. So how do we put that in? So I said, well, let's take a look at a baseline first, and then we can turn around and put the balance of what your budget is back just to you, and then the balance of what was left for Gateway back into Gateway. That's what we were doing.
So can you just, let's use Pelican as an example. If you look at current state, which is specific to roads and budget alignment in Gateway, in Pelican, and cost per linear foot,
Correct.
679. Current state versus future state, which is what you have in yellow. Can you just explain what is that? What are the pros and cons? What's the benefit, if there is benefit, to Pelican? Just so
Yeah,
Bob can draw a
and I'm-
line.
I'm exactly with you there. And my question
There's
is,
another way of doing it.
is
really
the
easy.
679 have Colonial Boulevard to Tree Line and Pelican Reserve? If that's in the 679, along with all the other roads, I'm good with that. If it's not, then I might have a problem.
Because you'll have
That's my
additional
question.
costs on
Yeah.
top of the baseline.
We have, if we currently, this year, 2024, Pelican paid for all of that. We paid for the Tree Line Boulevard Road.
Yeah.
We paid for everything else.
Yeah.
Is that all in the 679?
Yeah.
All.
It's all in your,
No differentiation
Any
inside the gate or
district-
outside.
in
What that
your,
number is
no, it's
any
actually in
district.
your, it's actually in your 766.
Right, there's two differences. What we're looking at and what we try to normalize and standardize is any and all roads that are district property or district assets, which would be landscaping.
Yes.
I guess I don't know if that's that. So
Yes.
that is what we're taking from a Pelican line item to a Gateway holistic, all the roads,
Okay.
and then splitting that. You'll still have roads that are Pelican or things that fall outside of the district. Those numbers won't be in this number because we're only looking at shared district assets.
Can I say it another way, looking at this sheet that I'm looking at? The upper portion, now I'm not going to the 679, but the dollars. It's $576,766. So I'm currently spending about 1.3 million.
Correct.
Now look at the yellow down below. The future state is we'll only be paying 210,000.
No, that amount that's below, what I had to do, Mr. Gephardt,
Okay.
was establish a baseline to where everybody was paying what I would call an equalization. So in other words, the lowest common denominator was the Stony Brook roads, roads and landscaping, which was $1.98 and the $7.53. Now, I applied those back up to Pelican Reserve and the Gateway roads. So that amount, when you look at that equalization, comes out to $970,000. That's the baseline with everybody. That's not, we're missing 2.8 million in that part. We'll come back to that in a minute. This is the baseline. So everybody pays at a baseline of what Stony Brook is paying for the roads and landscaping. That's the common denominator for everybody. So then I took that and I did it under the allocation of our 85,000 trips and allocated that. So everybody's assessment was based on that amount. That's the baseline assessment. Then I took the differences between when you saw that one, I guess go down to the next one. There you can see the variances over on the right-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
So that means that, you know, it's 1.7 million for Gateway, and what's that one?
635.
630,
Lower million.
about $1 million?
Yeah, 1.04.
You're just basically saying that the variance of those two in Gateway go to 001, those two in Pelican go to 002.
They would.
That's what
Yeah,
happened.
so what's going to happen is your budgets aren't going to change. We're just reallocating it. We're reallocating the assessments by.
And I think that's what Bob's, well, I'm sure Bob and Kara want to know. If we go this route, future state.
Yep.
How does it impact their budget and what they would have to spend for Gateway versus?
It doesn't change it. It's the same.
That's the.
Your budget is the same. We're just reallocating it based on what we call the benefit for everybody.
In order for us to operate as one Gateway.
Correct.
Yeah.
That was the assignment.
Sounds directionally correct.
So the taxes that collected
The
remain
assessment,
exactly the same. So what did we change?
the assessment.
You're getting
The
the allocation.
allocation,
You're getting the allocation. Right now, you're paying, if it were $1 million,
the allocation
under
only,
this
not the
new
dollar.
one, under the old deal, you would pay the whole million in 002. Under this one, we're pulling 300,000 out and we're allocating it to everybody.
So
That's the
So it's a
difference.
300,000.
Just paying for Pelican.
So this is a
And Gateway just paying
300,000.
for Gateway. We're all going to share in the Gateway
So
assets.
for the roads only,
You mean over? on the
Pelican's
right.
getting a $300,000 a year credit, basically.
But I had to.
Whatever.
Or
that
reduction.
number is.
Whatever,
Yes,
yeah.
around
Does it
that.
make sense?
Yeah, it's
Russ, you
around
wanna present
300,000.
the last piece, please?
Okay,
I know it's hard to grasp when
No,
there's
no,
a benefit.
No, I
It's a
didn't.
benefit.
I don't, but I don't want to benefit. I just don't want to change it. Let's
You don't
go.
want to change the service. You want.
Well, I don't want to change the service, but
That's
I
what
want
I'm
to make
saying.
sure.
You don't mind the benefit as long as there's no change in service, meaning the quality of the work.
Well, I
and
wouldn't
what
have put
goes
it that
in there.
way. What I'm saying is, for our community, the appearance of the tree-lined road, both sides, is very important to the price point in Pelican Reserve. So I don't want anything that would degrade that in any way, shape, or form.
That's
So
not.
that's what I'm
So
saying.
not changing
Okay,
it.
What
okay.
it's doing, Bob, is the level of uniformity across all three, everybody participates in. If you want something greater, you pay for that stuff.
So-
You do, we do.
And this,
But greater than what you already have now, because that's already
Correct.
budgeted in.
We-
So
That's our
what-
baseline.
yes.
The
and this
baseline we
goes
have
back
yesterday.
to the original philosophy that we're trying to get to, which is we are Gateway. We need to operate as one Gateway, not separate entities, because we are not separate entities under.
Well,
under-
when we
under
were
the-
interconnected, we were, but okay.
Well,
As
even
a
then, by law,
district.
we're not. You're
Okay.
still
You're
part of
all
Gateway,
one.
regardless of what
Okay,
policies.
I'm-
But that's what we're trying to get to, one
Okay.
Gateway. So
So this is only the roadway portion of the whole thing. So now I got
And the
roadway.
landscape.
And landscaping, roadway and landscaping.
Landscaping's in here too.
Yes, the 198 is for the road and the 753, I think, or some, is for the landscaping versus the 44 something.
I don't see that on this chart.
Can you
I
go
just,
back?
I just think it's important, we talked about this earlier when you were in the office, you're worried about level of service. The level of service is not dictated by the assessment, the level of
Methodology.
service is dictated by the contract, which
Right.
has nothing to do with what we're talking about. So whatever level of service you want to have for your landscaping, you set that with your vendor. And then the cost is.
It's what
handled
we're
here.
absorbing in the gateway
What I'm
side.
So it has
wrestling
nothing
with-
to do with what the quality or the.
What I'm wrestling with is I keep hearing nothing's changing.
No,
Well,
it
damn
is.
sure something's changing, or we wouldn't have revoked.
You're-
The
Well,
you're-
methodology,
you
the
are-
allocation of the dollars.
The allocation.
then that
is what's
something
changing.
is changing.
So, in summary, Ross, the gateway people will be paying around $300,000 to help with the Pelican Preserve area across from Tree Line.
On
but
this
there's-
aspect.
Yes, but nothing is changing on the service, so that's it, because we're
Okay.
trying to be equal to everybody. So there is in a way, a credit to the Pelican side of around $300,000, because fair is fair, we're gonna absorb that in. But the service and the quality of the work and the contract, that's
Okay.
gonna remain the same.
And
You
then
will
what
only
does-
change if you want something more than what you already have
For
now.
this, for this one component, standalone component,
You agree?
it's a net positive to Pelican of 300,000, or a net negative to Gateway of 300,000. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are the other components then? This one?
On those two, 300,000
Okay.
is included both, it's landscaping
Well,
and
I
roads.
still think they ought to be separate, but.
They are
anyway,
separate.
Even if they're separate.
No, but they are separate, I just gave you the
Okay.
total
I don't want to
combined
shock
amount.
you.
Can you go to this where it shows?
Okay, and then Waterway, when we did Waterway,
Yeah.
where
so-
did we end up with Waterway?
Waterway,
Yeah.
you went up,
exactly what
you
it
went
was.
up 59 cents.
The Waterway was a negative 59 cents on 2,400. Okay.
Correct.
So now that the only remaining thing to discuss is the administration. But right now Pelican is way ahead.
No, we
No,
got, we got,
no, we have a good price,
you're jumping the gun.
yeah.
Oh, excuse me.
Hang on.
I keep hearing these things and I'm thinking I'm running with them. Go ahead.
Okay, Russ, I understand, that was Doug's question from last time. But because in ponds, or waterways, you kept two silos.
Mhm.
You kept the Gateway silo and the Pelican silo because you just did.
Yeah.
But you still use the factor of the porous and non-porous ground
Correct.
and all that
Pervious,
sort of
impervious.
stuff.
Mhm.
What would happen with roadways if you kept two silos, Gateway, Pelican, for roads and landscape, and then still do your trip generation
You get no
as
benefit.
your,
Yeah.
You get no
You don't get
benefit.
any benefit then.
You don't get a benefit.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. This gives you money.
oh,
The
don't
other
tell
one
me
did.
what I want to do.
You
You don't
If you
want
want
to
to
know
make a
what I
motion to
want
that
to
later,
do.
I'll make it, but I don't think you
So-
want to do it.
Because then you kind of go back to
Well,
how it
can you,
was.
could you show
Yeah.
us that?
So, Carol, so what would happen is you would go back to exactly how it was, you'd be paying that $300,000 and
No
still,
benefit.
no benefit,
You still do that.
because that's how it was. So if we do that
I
for that,
understand what you're saying,
uh-huh.
but I am asking Russ, is it possible to do it that way?
It is done
That,
that
yeah,
way.
that's the way it is now.
It is done that way,
It
it
is
is how
now.
now.
We're
it's
just,
to
what
some
we're trying to do is we're doing the, as Doug put it, which is right, the one gateway analysis.
Okay,
We're-
but we weren't that concerned about that with waterways. So why are we so concerned about that with roads?
We could go to, we could do it, we could do a baseline for
You don't.
water management, but you don't want to do that because then you're going to be picking up all of the gateway costs.
You're
I'm
paying
not-
for all their
Every one of the
future-
gateway costs
Can we
is
just make sure we're
$15
clear?
million.
I'm not sure
Let's just
if I'm
stick with
clear
the-
on what you mean by siloed with the ponds.
Doug, what we did is on the ponds, we had the ponds in three categories: ours, theirs, and the common area, which is the
flowways. Mhm.
The issue is that if you would take and blend those, or you do a baseline, every person in Gateway would love to have a baseline because we got $20 million worth of work to do that you would pay on.
Right.
You don't have that. You don't want that. You've already paid for it and done it.
So that's
So
the,
there is
okay,
no
so
advantage
that's
to
that's
you.
what I thought I understood. And so I think the conversation with Pelican would be, Pelican has already invested dollars in the revitalization of their ponds.
Correct.
And
We have.
and because it's already done prior to where we're at now,
And we
they're
also did it a
combining
different
them.
way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
totally.
combining them
We did the
right now
cabinet
would be
mesh.
no benefit to Pelican because you would now be on the hook for
Correct.
Just the Pelican, the
for
gateway
the,
side.
for the greater
So-
gateway pond. So it's almost the compromise is you've already invested dollars in your
We're
ponds.
acknowledging that.
Yeah, so
Separating it.
as there's not a credit in this new policy, at least not right now, that we can compromise in other areas, but we're not, there's no credit for the work that you've already done. However, we don't want to penalize you with the work that still has to be done in Gateway. So I think that was the reason why we went that path is it really wasn't fair and equitable for us to continue down that path by asking you, taking the same philosophy with ponds, because the people of Pelican would be paying substantially more in addition to what they've already paid in your own community.
Yeah,
Now,
but
in the
you-
future, at some point, one second,
But-
at some point in the future,
When we're level.
when we get to a point where we have completed our phases of the lake restoration projects and it just becomes general maintenance, we will probably come back and have the conversation that let's combine everything, because that, to me, that is the philosophy, is to operate as one gateway, because we are one gateway. That's why we have been very adamant about Stony Brook taking their roads over, because we don't want these separate funds. There's no true benefit to Gateway for the roads in Stony Brook. It's more of a benefit to them, but there might be a pathway to that. There's not a pathway, at least at this point, and I think it's reasonable, where Pelican would separate in any manner of Pelican. So if you cannot separate in any manner from Gateway, we have to operate as one entity. At least that's, I think that's the current philosophy.
Yeah, but what you don't mention is that you're doing your ponds under your bonds, so you can't put those bonds on us anyway.
They're not
Principal
under
interest, yeah, that's what you would do. It's exactly what you would do.
Not the existing ones.
No.
You
the
have
new-
to
the
keep
no-
your
the new-
own,
The new ones.
your own bond.
The new ones. If we merge this and we go
Going
forward,
forward.
then any bonds that we do forward, the debt and principal interest will be shared by.
Because there's no
by two,
separation between
that's-
Pelican and
There's
Gateway.
no separation.
There's
You
no,
don't want to do that.
there's no separation. You have no, correct me if I'm wrong, Tony, but you have no legal exemption from what we do in Gateway as a proper.
Besides what we give.
Besides what we allow.
Yeah, the board sets the policy
Yeah.
for its facilities and services.
One of the things that, stepping back to the water management, if you recall, the philosophy behind that was Pelican Preserve invested that time and money into their lakes and ponds. And they were at a level that was a little bit higher than Gateway. So that we said, let's keep them separate because of that. You wanted that differentiation. That's why that was done. Now, in terms of the roads, what we did, like I said, we just found the common denominator and then we put back that amount to get you whole again. I like to talk with my hands, to get you whole again. And so you'll have your $1.3 million or whatever it is, $1.6 million.
But before we roll to the roads, go back to the ponds in closing and summary, I hope. The only thing that has changed in the ponds between the old methodologies and assessments and the proposed new is that Pelican, at least at the last vote that this group made, would be responsible for a portion of the flowway. Other than that.
And Area 9.
So that's a part of
No,
the flow.
no,
That
no,
was all
no.
included in the flowway part.
Area 9, my esteemed colleague here told us that Colonial's responsible for that, even though they've never. paid.
No. Across
No.
75.
Colonial, in my opinion, is responsible from tree line to I-75.
Correct.
Area 9?
Not on the
No,
other.
Area 9 is on the other side of I-75.
It's on the other side
Well,
of
I've never
75.
talked about Area 9. Why? Okay, so now, in addition to the flowway, now we're going to get Area 9 too?
Was
You
always
own,
there.
we,
Area 9 has
Is-
always been a part of the flowway to get the water to 6 Mile Cypress.
Area
I
9 is
agree with it's always been. I'm talking about who's funding it.
we had been,
Pelican Preserve has never funded,
We're talking
Area
about
9.
operating and maintaining it.
correct.
whatever we're talking about. We've never put a nickel in it.
That's what we're trying to get corrected.
That's what you're sticking us with, yes, I understand.
Don't use
And
that
that's-
terminology.
Well, there isn't any other one I can think of. If we never paid for it before, now you're voting that I got to pay for it, you're sticking me with it. And also for Pelican, for the flowway
Just leave
itself.
the roads alone.
We've never paid for that before.
You use it. You benefit.
Everybody uses it.
I'm asking you, Pelican.
And I'm
benefits.
more than willing to pay my share. Get everybody else that uses it pay.
But we don't have the ability to do that.
I'm saying you don't have the ability to stick it to me either.
Yes, we do, because
You're-
you're part of the
you're in the
district.
boundary.
No, we've never done it before. I don't want to do it now.
No, we dictate that.
I know, but it's going to be a 3-2
Okay.
vote.
It has nothing to do with that.
It has everything to do with it.
Bob, let me finish. We are not we cannot go after Colonial because they're outside of the district bounds. Period. If we could, we would. We have tried this, even before I sat on this board, when I was sitting back there, we tried. We cannot do it. If you find a way to go around and have to do it, we will support you. I
Well, how come
guarantee
you have a way to
You will get
stick
your,
it to
let me
me?
finish, or you'll get your 5-0 vote. We cannot do it. It's illegal. Like, it's very simple and clear. You, Gateway Pelican is part of the district, so unfortunately, we didn't do that before. Take it as a gift from us. Now it's gonna be differently, and unless we vote differently, we cannot do it. It's not that we don't want to do it, we legally cannot do it. It's two separate
What do
things.
you mean you can't do it?
Tony, can you
Okay,
refresh
You
him?
can keep it just like it is.
I'm talking about
It's
Colonial.
not
You
fair
want
and equitable.
everybody to pay for it.
I'm talking
That's-
about Flowway and Area 9. There's a choice between keeping it as we have for the last 25 years or changing it.
I agree.
Okay.
Now, my question to you, do you benefit, Pelican Preserve only? That's a yes or no question. Do you benefit for it?
Some part, not all.
It's a, you benefit a portion, okay.
Okay.
You benefit from Area 9? Yes.
A portion, not
A
all of
portion.
it.
So you're paying a portion of it. We're not asking you to pay the whole thing. We're splitting that cost. So
How-
exactly what you're asking, we're giving it to you.
But in
Because we're
in the
splitting the
past,
cost.
in the past, I paid nothing. Now you're asking me to pay
That's-
Well, in the
something.
past,
That's a
we
difference.
didn't do a lot of things.
Okay.
I mean, this is the philosophy
Not doing
of
that if we're gonna-
either you're in alignment with, we are Gateway, we need to operate as Gateway. Or we're not, we have separate entities. Then let's break off Pelican, let's break off Stony, but let's break off every community within Gateway and figure out how we're gonna have 28 separate budgets, 28 or however many we have, and everyone's gonna have special treatment. It's just, it's not logical, and it's not what we should be doing. What we, there is, when it comes to Pelican, because it's probably one of the only communities that we've had special circumstances, we do need to figure out how we can get to a common goal and compromise when there's a compromise that's needed.
Okay,
We
so-
want to be fair and balanced, and it has to be defendable as well.
So Ross, your initial presentation that you gave us, you did it on trip generations.
Correct.
And I believe in that case, Pelican Preserve had to pay more.
Correct. Because it was just the Gateway budget that was being reallocated to everybody.
Oh, so you didn't include the Pelican budget,
No, ma'am.
Gateway having to pay some of it.
Correct. And this is the,
Okay.
that's
So
what we're going
by
here.
using
with
the
this.
baseline, you're evening it out over everything,
We're only evening out the baseline part.
the baseline.
Correct. And then we take, so you hit that baseline, which is the $945,000. And then the residual, the 2 million, go down to the.
2.8.
Again, please, go down. Keep going. See the 2,000,008 at the bottom
Right.
there? That's the remaining allocation. That's 1.7 of Gateway, and that's 1.1 of Pelican Reserve. The 1.7 is reallocated just among the Gateway people. And then the
Okay,
one.
So then, okay, so by using the baseline, Pelican has a credit of 300 and some odd thousand, right?
No, you use the, ultimately, yes, when you get to the back end. Yes,
The
when we
back
get to
end.
the end, yeah.
Okay. Moving forward, because the only roads would be Stony Brook, whereas Pelican will over time have to redo their roads over time in a period of, but Gateway will not have to. So will that always be a
Well,
cost
Current,
moving forward
it-
that
the-
Gateway will have to share
Yes.
because of
You don't-
Pelican's
you have to
roads?
recalculate every
Yes.
year.
yeah, it
Because
gets
it's a
recalculated every
district
year.
Property. It's a Gateway district property. If we have to redo the roads in Pelican, it's a district property. Gateway as a whole would have to pay for that. It's the same thing like with Stony Brook. At whatever time, if we can't get those roads turned over, when it's time for those roads to be resurfaced, there's a,
That main road will
that
be
main road,
shared.
we will be shared.
Be shared. Yeah.
So for the 25 budget year, Pelican is spending $380,000 on roads. At this time, they're paying for every penny of it. But if that got deferred to next year,
You'll be
then
paying
we'd be
less.
paying a third, you'd be paying two.
Yes,
Exactly.
yes.
That's close to what it is, yeah. It's pretty close.
And the benefit can be somewhat cyclical. There's going to be years where
There
you
more
know, the
work needs
benefit's
be
going to
done
be to
here.
Pelican because there's work going on. There's going to be, but I'm hoping and looking at it longer term that that would be balanced over, 20, 30
You're
years.
gonna get 20 years out of a road, and it should.
Yeah. Well, not even just roads. I'm talking about everything that we're doing.
Street
Well,
signs,
if
that
Gateway,
would-
if Gateway
everything.
Greens needed to redo a road this year or next year, who pays for that?
They would.
Because they're.
Right, that's what I was trying to get at.
100%
Yeah.
HOA.
If they're private, then they
They
take care of their own roads. So we're
Okay.
only talking about district.
Stony Brook is the
district
only
owned
one,
properties.
Stony Brook is the only one,
Okay,
like.
so
in a
now
community.
now you're recommending this baseline trip generated road map.
That was the assignment. Yes.
Okay,
Now, I did a third assignment too, where I just threw everything into one bucket
right.
and just did that analysis. And that
And how did
That-
that come out?
Well, that was it's not in this one, but that was in that last chart that we had. But let me finish this chart first,
Okay.
please. Let's do that. It'll make it easier. The remaining area, and you all have your little table in front of you. The remaining allocation by area, the 4 at the top is Gateway, that comes out to about 1.7, and the 4 at the bottom comes out to 1.1. And the allocation by area is on a per unit basis. So you add that back over with the base. So go at the top, for instance, you have Gateway, it says 106.49. That's the base allocation of everybody's budget. That one where we went to the baseline. And then they're adding the 270, which is what was the 1.7 added back in just to the Gateway. Remember, the budgets are staying the same. And then so you add those up, it comes out to 376. And their old assessment currently is at 324, so they'd be going up by $52. The multifamily would be going up by $31. The Gateway Golf Course would be going up by $3,500. The commercial would be going up by $97,000, and that's spread among, all of the commercial parcels, 185 based on their trip generation. Pelican Reserve goes down by $237. The golf course goes down by $53,000. C5 goes up because they weren't paying anything before, because they weren't paying any of the Gateway road or the Pelican Preserve roads. Same way with the commercial. So they get their allocation of the Pelican Preserve part. So that's
How this is a reduction.
how it comes out. And that was just doing it as a baseline, which we said it puts all the roads in, all the district roads with the landscaping.
Okay, and what is the other option?
The other option is all in, and that one,
That is,
I can tell you, hang on a minute.
And when you say all in, that's splitting everything equally?
Yeah, I took all 3 sets of budgets, or all 6 budgets, and put them into one that came out to the $3,774,000.
You just split that.
And I split that based on trip generation, all across the board.
This one, Russ?
Yes.
okay,
Which there's an increase for everything. Oh, no, that's not a variance, okay.
Yeah, but when you go all in, it's just not,
So these are the same numbers, the assessments with Stony Brook as a baseline. They're the same numbers, they just don't have the year-over-year differential, the variance.
Yeah, you're not doing the factoring, that's what makes it.
That's the only difference between the two charts.
correct. And we're not doing you're correct, we're not doing the factoring,
You're not doing the factoring.
we're not doing the baseline.
Which is what you need to do.
Because then it spreads it. That's about everybody's.
Then you have a
equal at that
methodology.
point. Correct.
Well, that's where the equitable, the
Yeah.
fair and equitable piece
Yeah,
comes
it makes it
comes in.
equitable.
Yeah, exactly. And that will.
It's
adjust-
complicated, but
But it makes,
after about 30 minutes,
it makes sense. It really does. And like I said, everybody shares equally on the baseline. I shouldn't say share equally based on your trip generation, of course. And then you throw back in the overage, which I remember what Bob was saying is we're at a higher level on some things. And think about it this way too. The roads over there are newer, right? I mean, and Gateway's road's been around a while. So you're going to have more maintenance over here at this time. And ultimately that'll shift. It's just how it works. I mean, it's a timing thing more than anything.
so on this one, Pelican Preserve trips, 192.52. So how, if it's all in, how can everything go up?
They didn't go up, it
If
stayed
it's
the
all
same.
in, shouldn't some go up and some go down?
Well, these are just what they are. You have to compare it to that first column.
This column right.
So you would have to take this one, this column.
Yeah.
So this is what you pay now?
493.55.
Right, and then,
It'll go down to
No.
192.52.
Yes. It just doesn't, it's not
Okay.
showing a variance, that's all.
Oh,
So you have to do that. So then this one.
This is where it is now.
So you see how that one is 109 and now it's gonna be 42.
and that's all in, and that's just not, I think the fair and equitable way, like Doug had said, is let's find the
The baseline.
baseline. Everybody shares in that, and then you get, which I know Bob had mentioned, you're at a different level. When you're at a different level, this accounts for that. So your budget doesn't change. It just goes back in.
And as we move forward, the baseline is the baseline.
Right.
Where there's room for manipulation would be in that, in the addition, in the variance.
And let's take for an example, their budget for Pelican, or for Stony Brook was 288,000 this year, based on their linear foot. If it goes up to 350, it's still going to be the baseline, but the baseline goes up.
Mhm.
So everybody
Yeah.
shares it, and then the allocation of whatever your budget is between that and the baseline goes back to you, and whatever this is in Gateway. You know,
If
every
Stony
year.
Brook was excluded entirely.
I'm sorry?
If Stony Brook was not a consideration in establishing the baseline, it would have just been Pelican and Gateway?
Yes, we would have used just the lower of the
Whichever
landscaping between the two and the lower of the roads
I
between.
was just wondering how much Stony Brook influenced. That's all.
No, all it did is it just create a lower baseline. It would have been a higher baseline.
It would have been the 679 instead of $1.98.
Yep.
44 versus 753.
Well, no, it would be
41.
the 41, yeah, so under the landscape, it would be
would've been-
41 and under the roads would be 679.
Right.
Yeah. Which just creates a higher baseline that everybody would share in.
so,
But how does
so for
Chelsea?
Pelican, staying the same, having two silos is not what we want. We want to either do the all-in
We'll still,
or the baseline.
no, you'll still have, it'll still be two silos because you'll still get your budgeted amount. Gateway will get their budgeted amount. It's just your assessments basically go down because of the way we did it, the baseline, and then
You're gonna
everything
get a
else on top.
factor on
Yeah.
one method
Yeah.
and you won't on the other.
Correct.
That's it.
Okay, and are you looking for a vote from us at some point as to which one we want to go with?
It's just a recommendation. It's up to the board
Direction.
to give me direction,
Okay.
correct, on where you want to go. And that would be the next piece, because we did the water management, then we do the roadways, and we'll need to get into the admin and Parks
Okay,
and Rec.
so it's 3 o'clock, so we wanna go,
What do we want to do? We need to, we got to get to that admin and parks, so what are we going to do? Have a continuation of the workshop?
or,
Put it off to the next meeting.
Do what?
Put it off till the next meeting.
I would,
Not enough time.
no, I would
That's the-
prefer you
that's the-
to continue it either
That's-
early
that's
next week, or
getting
if you can
dangerous.
find a time,
We need
I'm
to be
happy
doing
to
it
come
in the
back.
Next week. It's not the
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, because I need the time to meet my deadlines.
Well, if those
How
deadlines
much time do you
fly,
need?
He needs
Russ.
about 45 days to just
No,
crunch
no,
the
how
numbers.
much,
how much time do you need to present?
the next piece, which you have ready, right?
Yeah, oh,
It
yeah,
was gonna be
yeah.
today, we just,
You
Yeah,
need
but
what,
it's-
another
but it's-
30 minutes?
But it's two parts. Well, it might be even a little bit more than that, because I have two
Well,
parts to go over.
why don't we take that as the first agenda item after a public comment on our regular agenda, and just have him make his presentation then?
Is there anything that,
The only thing that we have is the public hearing at 5:30. The rest of it, I mean, it's a pretty light agenda.
all right, well,
I don't have
you want to try to knock it out? And if there,
Is your
is there anything that
availability
can't, is there anything?
Oh, yeah,
that
I don't
can't
have a
be
4
pushed
o'clock meeting today.
on our regular agenda, and just in case we get late, 'cause I can't stay till.
taking a little trip?
Yeah, I'd like to soon do it today, to move
Yeah.
it back a week.
You guys good with that?
I'm fine.
Well,
I'm
we have time
crunched
on the
for
agenda.
moving things back. I'd rather stay today.
I'll be honest with you, I would like to hear your presentation on the administration and Parks and Rec,
Sure.
because
It's out now, I agree.
I have to process. Just like when you gave your presentation last time and Chelsea mailed out everything, then I could process what what you said and the materials and go back and forth and all that
Okay,
sort of
so
stuff.
then we'll close the
So-
workshop and then we'll make a motion to amend the agenda to include the second part of the workshop to the agenda. That's what you
Yeah,
want,
after the
right?
public comment.
It's already
Oh, it's
on.
already there, okay.
It's
Then-
right here.
then no-
We just moved
It's
up.
agenda item 11A.
Okay, perfect. So then,
We moved
any
up.
other
We
questions?
could just move that up
Sorry?
under
Any
public
other
comment.
questions? Any other questions regarding roadways or landscaping?
I'll just need some
That's
direction.
it. Oh, okay, then you want direction. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you have something to say?
No,
about
I'm
this?
fine. No, you're heading in the right direction about during the workshop, maybe a break and then go into the
Yeah.
regular meeting,
That's what I'm-
workshop, yes.
All right, so the direction, either we're gonna use the trip generator, either we're gonna use the baseline, or we do it all combined. So as of now, and I'm recapping, and you can correct me, as of now, using the baseline, it will be a benefit for Pelican Preserve residents of around $300,000 of savings. The other one, which I guess we'd have to do the math, because we did it, which they're all together.
Yeah,
Tony, do we need to give them a motion? Does this need to
Just
be done in the
direction,
form of a
right? We
motion
just
for
need to give
direction?
direction.
That'll be in the regular meeting.
We can break.
Give direction.
We'll
Can't
open,
do it
we'll
now.
open up with that
Okay,
before
so
we
then
get
we-
into the
Okay,
to the presentation.
that's
Yeah.
continuation. So we'll open up with direction and then we'll go into the continuation.
okay, perfect. So-
And I can do a little comment at that point before you
Yeah,
give me the direction.
okay. Let's go ahead and just take 5-minute break.